Welcome to the Shenington Kart Track, Oxfordshire, England, and the Super 1 National Kart Championship, sponsored by Elf Hillhouse Hammond. Seniors today, and their first round, I suspect, will be run in a mixture of sunshine and showers. So this is the circuit, one of the quickest on the tour. Favourite overtaking, and as always here, will be the long right-hander before the finish, and the hairpin on the opposite left. Hanger, they call it. Hanging out might be more appropriate. We're straight on with the action today. As last year, Formula A, I can tell you, is heading for another big crunch. Well, all that comes later. This is TKM, 100cc, standard engines, it's affordable, and the best supported class in the S1 series. This is the grid. Terry Langley, number 4, Scott Bain, 73, Richard Stirren, 41, Nicky Richardson, 97, and Lee Piercy, 70, all chasing 53, Stuart Smith. And the 4 who qualified from the B final are number 5, Harry Soden, number 42, Craig Dorrington, number 44, Oliver Scullion, and number 57, Jonathan Davis. So this was the start of the A final, with twice TKM champion and ex-Vauxhall racer, Stuart Smith, number 50, number 4, Terry Langley, and number 41, Richard Stirren, making the early break. They came from grids 1, 2, and 4 respectively. But not such a good day for the championship favourite, Gary Catt. 11th, 17th and 5th from his qualifying heat was only good enough for grid 17th. But even that was better than second favourite Harry Soden. After winning his first heat, he was disqualified in the second and finished up 4 places further back. Well, it was good news for Langley, joint second favourite with Soden. He celebrated by nicking the lead off Smith, taking Stirren with him and holding it for 5 laps. But by lap 5 out of 15, Stirren had dumped Smith into second. But the real surprise was number 92, Adrian Coles. From grid 11, he was suddenly all over the back of Langley. Four laps later, he was in the lead, leaving Stirren and Langley in the furious battle for silver. Elsewhere, number 99, Paul Ralston, was 4th from grid 9. Darren Ray Field was 5th from 8. Harry Soden, number 5, with the drive of the day so far, had hauled himself up from 21 to 6. Damien Tigwell, 30, from 7th, was still 7th. And Gary Catt, 1 place adrift from him in 8th, from that potentially disastrous 17th. But all eyes were up front as both Langley and then Stirren lined Smith up, but neither, it seemed, had the killer punch to knock the number 50 off the top of the pile. He, it seemed, was heading for an early harvest of championship points. It really was a very tidy drive indeed. But by the time they'd all reached the 15th and final lap, the end fight between Langley and Stirren had pushed them back to within inches of Smith's rear fender. And suddenly, the number 50 was forced to hang on, as his advantage became more and more slender. So it was heads down, foot down, all round, with just the long right-hander to go. But Smith was safe, and it was left for Langley and Stirren to contest the closest finish of the day for second place. But there was to be a sting in the tail. Scrutineering changed everything when both Coles and Langley were excluded for engine irregularities, understood to be timing and volume respectively. Stirren was awarded the win, and it wasn't such a bad day for Catt after all. In the ICA final, the retirement of poleman Darren Giggs led to a remarkable performance from grid 8th man Jason Williams. His pace and exemplary skills was a meeting highlight. And if he can produce this a few more times, the ICA final might become a McLaren-style walkover. Overall, though, he still has work to do, with only 4 points separating the top 4. But another couple of good days and Williams may well be out front. Mind you, the imminent arrival of Michael Spencer might change a thing or two. And so to Formula A first final. Dean Panrucker was pole, Lee Brenison second, Daniel Barrett was third, Gavin McFadden fourth, Robert Jenkinson fifth, and Simon Short was sixth. Kart Master champion Graham Melville could do no better than 9th, with last year's championship 5th man James Wright in 11th. And it was Pan Rucker showing all the call expected from the pre-season favourite, who was controlling things at the front ahead of Daniel Barrett, Robert Jenkinson and 81, Lee Renison. But all that was to change. Barrett, with little regard for reputations, barged his way past the ebullient Pan Rucker and into the lead. Great stuff! But what followed wasn't. After playing second fiddle for lap after lap, it finally got to Pan Rucker. He went for a gap that wasn't quite there, and that was that. Barrett had a bent chassis, and Pan Rucker would face the stewards. Well, looking at it again, maybe he was slightly unlucky, just losing the rear there. And that was sufficient to clip Barrett and putting them both off the track. But that was good news for Messrs Jenkinson, Short and Melville. They accepted the opportunity gratefully to dominate the front 2 rows of the grid with Lee Renison. And while Daniel Barrett's championship aspirations ground to a temporary halt. And that was desperately bad luck for the youngster. And following that steward's inquiry, Dean Pan Rucker was demoted to the rear of the grid. And that, I can tell you, is a long, long way back. And this is the grid. Well, it's Robert Jenkinson who takes pole ahead of Simon Short, Graham Melville, Lee Renison, James Wright and Philip Charles. No place, you note, for Dean Pan Rucker. He's right at the back after his little misdemeanor. Well, they're on the hot lap, and they look in pretty good shape. Round the long right-hander will take them into the start. Green is for go, and the final action of the day is underway, and it's Robert Jenkinson who makes the early break. Simon Short, I think that is, in second position. No, it's Graham Melville, so Simon Short is third. Jenkinson first, then Melville second, Short is third. Oh, and there's all sorts of barging and bumping going on there. Well, at least half a dozen karts, I think, went off. That was in the mid-pack. This is with the lead. It's Melville now, ahead of Simon Short. So where's Jenkinson? He's dropped back to third in that melee. So Robert Jenkinson goes back to third. It's Graham Melville who leads. It's Philip Charles moving up behind James Wright. So Philip Charles, who did remarkably well to get onto 6th position in that grill. So Melville leads from Short. Jenkinson still in third. Speeds on this track around about 80 miles an hour down the straight. It really is a very, very quick circuit indeed. Oh, and Lee Renison there, number 81, into 4th position. That'll be a great result if he could hang on to that. While Simon Short loves this track, second here last year, might have a little pop at Melville here. Oh no, oh yes he is, yes, Simon Short goes through into first. I thought for a moment that Graham Melville had blocked successfully, so close, but Simon Short needed absolutely nothing to get through. He takes the lead. Melville second. Robert Jenkinson looks on in third, hoping that maybe he'll pick up a few little pieces in a moment or two. Well, let's take a look at the end of lap 3. 42.24 seconds is 1.06 seconds quicker than the previous lap. And race order: Short, Melville, Jenkinson, Renison, Matt Jackson ahead now of James Wright. And it's Simon Short holding off Graham Melville. Robert Jenkinson taking a look. Well, it's so close in the pack behind. And there's Dean Pan Rucker. Now then, I make that 12th place, and if that's so, that's remarkable, up from number 23. So Pan Rucker was still to play for in this game. Well, there he is. Mind you, it gets harder. Going from 23 to 12 is infinitely easier than going from 12 to 1. And elsewhere, number 73, Daniel Barrett, has passed Philip Charles. Now he's 8th. Lars Sexton's up into the top 10, and that from grid 22 in the first final. That's a super show. This is the leader, Simon Short from Graham Melville. Robert Jenkinson still looks on. Well, they've been locked that way for some time. We're approaching the halfway mark now. 6 laps down, 6 to go. And Graham Melville looks ever menacing on the tail of Simon Short. And let's take another look of how Robert Jenkinson suddenly went from first to third. And look at this, Melville takes the lead, or has he? Simon Short counter-punching immediately there. And Simon Short goes back in front, Robert Jenkinson still third. Well, Graham Melville certainly gave Simon Short the slip there. And what a race this is turning out to be. Well, taking a look a little further back, well, there's Philip Charles. He's been up down a couple of places. Well, is it any wonder? They're giving him the old elbow there. So, Simon Short leads, Graham Melville second, Robert Jenkinson third, and the winner will surely come from these three. Oh, and the little rerun here of Philip Charles's entry into Formula A. TKM last year. Well, he'll certainly know he's arrived, that's for sure. Back with the leaders. Still Simon Short. And Simon Short looking to go one better than he did last year. Robert Jenkinson up into second. Ahead now of Graham Melville. So Graham Melville with a little fight on his hands here. Coming to the end of lap 8. With the time there, 42.45. That's 100th of a second quicker than the previous lap, which was the fast lap. Now Renison is still in fourth position. There he is, just dropping back a little bit. And the only other change in the top 12 is Panrucker. He's ahead of Sexton. There he goes, so he's 11th. Leaders, Short, Jenkinson, Melville. It'll be heads down. There they go. And around 80 miles an hour, just a few centimetres off the tarmac. And I would suggest that will probably feel like 180. Here's Panrucker. 3 wheels on his wagon. End of 9, 41.98 seconds, and that's another fast lap, 0.04 quicker again. Short number 4 leads, Jenkinson 6 is second, Melville 3 is third, Renison 81 is fourth, Matt Jackson 69 is fifth. He's got back past Daniel Barrett number 73. And Philip Charles, I didn't quite catch him there. He's back up to 7th. Darren Williams is 8th. James Wright is 9th. And Dean Panrucker is 10th. And here goes Jenkinson for the lead. Up the inside of Simon Short. And Robert Jenkinson goes in front again. Graham Melville looks on. Now then, here comes Simon Short. He retakes the lead. So Jenkinson drops back to second. Melville stays in third. So Simon Short, who before play began today, said that he likes his track. It's certainly proving it now on the tarmac. Simon Short, 10 laps gone, 2 to go. Still plenty of racing left here, that's for sure. Back with the lead, Short, Jenkinson, Melville. Who will lead at the end of the lap? Well, Jenkinson's going to take another look, that's for sure. Yes! Robert Jenkinson barges his way past Simon Short, and he leads yet again. Now then, Graham Melville, known for his last lap charges, will soon have to make his move, but Simon Short finds a way through Robert Jenkinson in the most unlikely place. Graham Melville takes a look as well. Robert Jenkins could finish up third here. Simon Short leads. And it's Melville through on the inside of Jenkinson, I think. Yes! Graham Melville goes second, Robert Jenkinson's third, and Lee Renison comes up to join in the fun. Well, what an amazing finish to a quite extraordinary race. Simon Short's going to win. Graham Melville surely will finish second, Jenkinson third. And that's the way it is. Simon Short wins round 1 of the L. Pithouse Hammond Super 1 National Kart Championship in Formula A from Graham Melville, Robert Jenkinson and Lee Renison. Well, let's take another look at a few of those moments in the last couple of laps or so. That's Robert Jenkinson going through the inside of Simon Short. There's no room at all, is there? But somehow they squeeze through when they have to. And Simon Short here repaying the compliment straight away. No better time, of course. The counter punch when it's least expected is often the lethal one. Let's take a look at it one more time, while Simon Short left the door open a fraction looking at it again. Certainly Robert Jenkinson didn't need a second opportunity, and then Simon Short back to finish him all. So this is how they finished up. Simon Short on 56, Robert Jenkinson 53, Gary and Melville 49, Lee Rennison 42, Philip Charles 38, Matt Jackson 37. So Simon Short, who finished second here last year, goes one better in 98.
I had a very, very good kart. The engine was superb, and I had a bit of luck, which is one of the biggest things, really.
Great race, wasn't it?
Yeah, apart from they were too close.
We've not had a lot of luck here over the last 2 or 3 years. It started this morning when we were doing our time qualifying. When I done the warm-up lap, the engine misfired quite badly, and because they declared it an open meeting, they wouldn't let me go back out and do my time. So we ended up this morning being stone last in qualifying. So I suppose after that, if somebody had said to me, you'll be third and a second in the 2 finals, I wouldn't have believed them with being last.
It was a great race, so close. It's probably one of the closest races I've ever had. It took a few laps to pull back to them. Early on in the race, both Graham and Simon pulled away, but I got stuck in, closed the gap, got onto Graham's tail, probably about 5 laps to go, managed to pass him, and it was a case of getting my head down and trying to get past Simon, which was no easy task. Managed to get him to the bottom end, but he got me straight back, repeated the move on the next lap. Then going into the last lap, he just did a great move into the pits corner here, and that was the race over, really.